As a marketer, a musician, and even a business owner, the audience has always been very important to me. The end user of a product or service has always had a soft spot in my heart. The reason that is because we create product services and all of these things to get an outcome for the user. This is because outcomes are important to people and people are important to me. So it's been a major thing to make sure that the audience was always important. The audience is so important that companies spend a lot of money each and every year trying to understand the audience so that they can communicate better and eventually get sales. However, these brands also spend a lot of money to learn who is not their audience. Have you ever found yourself trying to find your audience? Find the people and the relationships that are best for you. Trying to find your tribe, your friend group, the perfect group chat. Welcome to the Reflections Podcast, where we replay our wins and losses so that we can build more winning seasons. In today's podcast, we're talking about you aren't for everyone, finding your audience. Finding your audience is interesting because it's okay for you not to be accepted by everyone. Your audience will love you for who you are. Let's discuss some of the things that we have to do to connect to our true audience. Lego. So, your true audience is a group of people that you want to look at, that you feel like dealing with, that you're okay with being around. You're willing to spend the time with them, you're willing to connect with them, you're willing to understand them, you're willing to have a mutual exchange of value. In business, the exchange is often something financial. I'm going to exchange money for a product. The exchange of value is you give me something that I desire and I give you money for it. Every business works this way. If you're not working that way, you're really not in business. But true businesses exchange value for money. In relationships, the exchange is energy. The exchange is mutual benefit. The exchange is connection. The exchange is often even vulnerability, being able to connect with people and being okay with who each other are. We all have a unique audience, and we're meant to serve that audience so that they can be capable of exchanging value with us. Some relationships are not mutual exchanges. Your audience is sometimes not a mutual exchange. You're giving all that you can, and in return you get very little. The exchange of value has to be as equal as possible. Now, I'm not saying that everyone will be equal, but it needs to be as equal as possible. Now, finding your audience can often be a struggle. We live in a world where some people find their audience by signs. It's like, you're a Gemini, you're a Cancer, you're a Sagittarius, and they depict who their audience is by what the belief of the signs is. Now, I don't know the difference between a Gemini or a Cancer or whatever. I don't know the attributes of them, but there are people that do, and they help find their audience by understanding these signs. Kudos to those people. I'm not that guy. I just don't know. Now, they have locked into their method of finding their audience, but that may not be your method. That's not my method. But when it's all said and done, you have to find your audience. You have to connect with people that you're willing to be connected to, that you see the mutual benefit, the mutual value of exchange from those people. Here's a few things that I've learned from being a marketer, a musician, in relationships and business about finding my audience. So, point number one, it's okay to not be accepted by everyone. You have to understand that you won't resonate with everybody, and that's perfectly fine. You'll find that you just don't get along with people that do certain things, that move certain ways. Now, I must be honest. There has been times, seasons in my life where My goal was to be accepted. Now, the problem with being accepted is you have to consider what will you accept. So you want to be around people, you want to be connected with people, but you are not willing to understand the fact that everybody is not for you. Imagine a business that wants to sell to everyone. It makes it really difficult for them to make sales because they need to narrow down who their target audience is, who needs their product, who can create that mutual exchange of value. Now, consider this: when sometimes we are searching for people, whether it's in relationships, just friendships, whatever, there may be moments where we experience rejection because we're not for everybody. We may feel moments where we don't feel good about who we are because someone didn't want to be our audience. Everybody can't be your audience. You're not meant to serve, exchange energy, and exchange value with everybody. It's okay to not be accepted by everyone. So, in your journey to finding your audience, understand that rejection is okay because you don't want to build an audience or a relationship with people that are going to reject. But you also don't want to overly sacrifice yourself so that you can be accepted by an audience that doesn't really accept you. Let's move on to point two. Point two is do your research. Invest time in understanding who you are, what you want, what you deliver, your value, your expectations. When you understand who you are, it makes it easier to understand what you deliver and understand your value, because relationship and audience is an exchange of value or exchange of energy. So if you're understanding what you give, you understand what you should accept and how to create boundaries by doing the research on you, but then also on others. Sometimes we've had experiences where it's honestly research at its core. That bad relationship, that failed business, or whatever it may be, sometimes that was actually just research. You might not have went into it thinking it was research, but the things that you pulled from it, the things that you understood from it were research. And if you take a look back on those things that didn't work, you found out that this works this way, this process happens this way, and this doesn't work for me. So when you're finding your audience, it's not that you are trying to hide from the past. It's not that you're trying to push certain things away. It's just a matter of I've learned what I can accept, what I can deal with, and what I can deliver value to. Imagine this. Imagine you've had a situation where a person that you were friends with constantly pulled value from you, but never had anything to offer. That's research. Now you know that it makes me uncomfortable when people pull so much value from me and I have nothing, they have nothing to give me back. It's research. Now, when you start to deal with people, you're like, okay, well, now I see in our first few conversations, it was a pull. I know that this person is maybe only for a season. They're not for a lifetime because they have nothing to push back in. They have nothing to invest back in. They're constantly taking withdrawals without any deposits. And the tools for research, businesses use forms and questionnaires and stuff. Unfortunately, when you're finding your audience for your life, when you're finding your audience for the people that you want to build long lasting relationships with, the tools are just paying attention. Like you can ask questions, you can do that, but you have to be attentive to the details and say, do I feel like this is a mutual exchange? Do I feel like we have something to share with each other or not? Let's move on. Our third thing, and this one is interesting in finding your audience, it's being able to accept the red flags. Let's talk about it, dive into it really, really finely. Everybody has red flags, but we have to define red flags in a way that helps us to build on it. So, for a lot of people, people are constantly saying, "Oh man, did you see the red flags?" No, I didn't see the red flags. I didn't realize that that was a red flag because I didn't do my research. I didn't understand my value. I wanted to be accepted, so I didn't see it as a red flag. But some of the things that we're dealing with are seriously red flags. But the red flags, how I like to define it, is a thing that doesn't create a enough boundaries, It doesn't create enough exchange value. So a red flag may be that this person, it may, if you don't like smokers, a red flag may be like, okay, it's just, this person is smoke. I can't deal with smoke. I can't deal with the fact that every time they're around, they need to smoke. That may be a red flag. It doesn't make the person bad. It just means that they have something that can't go with you as your audience, as your community, as your tribe. And it's okay to accept the fact that they are different, and you build the relationship based on the type of audience they can be. But your audience in real life is the people that you're willing, again, to be vulnerable with, to spend time with. And this next thing may be a little bit hard in our red flag section. It's okay to let people go. It's okay to say that our relationship is a text only relationship, but I can't respond to every text because I understand that I'm constantly getting drained by the connection. It's okay to let people go when you've been dating for a few weeks and you realize this just isn't right. Too often, we allow our emotions to control our movement. And when we allow our emotions to control our movement, sometimes we don't know when to move. We often have to figure out how to stop moving on feelings and move on facts. The fact is that these red flags can't go with me where I'm trying to go. Here's how I like to share it with people when they're in relationships. If this person never goes beyond who they are today, can you accept them in 10 years? If this person never becomes more than they are today, you can see potential, you can see all of these things, but if they never become more than who they are today, will you be able to truly accept them in the future? If not, that may be a red flag for you to say, I got to let go. So, as we get ready to close up this section, I need you to reflect on your personal experience where finding your true audience makes a difference in your life. I need you to reflect on the experience where you realize that it wasn't that this person was bad. It was just that they weren't your audience. Imagine a hamburger joint trying to sell burgers to vegans. It's not that either one is wrong or either one is not fit, but it's the wrong thing for the wrong audience. You are sometimes the wrong person for the audience that you're pursuing. So then you have to reflect and back up and say, well, who is my audience? How can I really take a look at me and figure out who my audience is? So I want to encourage you to take those 3 points and start to dive into them. First, the acceptance of you're not for everybody. Even the person that you want the most, the people that you want to be around the most, the products and services that you want the most, sometimes you're not their audience and they're not your audience, and it's okay. Next, do research. Go back and look at some of those experiences. Look at the highlight reels. Look at the signs that you saw before and understand why those didn't fit with you. Don't be mad about them. Just accept that, man, that just wasn't my audience. I tried to create somebody that was my audience that wasn't my audience. And lastly, begin to accept that some of the red flags doesn't make the person bad. It just doesn't make them a good fit for what you need in your life. So I want to thank you for joining me for this episode. I'm excited to share more stories, insights, and strategies with you. Together, we'll learn how to replay our wins and losses to build more winning seasons. Don't forget to subscribe, share with someone who needs a little motivation, and let's continue this journey to becoming undefeated. Until next time, keep reflecting and keep winning. Peace.